gang, it's Jeff Black again, your BFP Dream Builder from Beachmont Ford Performance. And, of course, I'm out here in the garage again for a new episode of Garage Table Discussion. And got a familiar face in the garage today. You probably have seen him before. He doesn't seem to be around as much anymore, but he's moving on. He's doing some important stuff. Charlie Watson, thanks for coming in today.
Thanks for having me.
Oh, always, always. Hey, first off, real quick, I want to, talk about my new addition in the garage. What do you think of my new 4-post lift?
I mean, what's the capacity on it? It looks a little
I you know what? All it said was heavy duty version, so I
just be careful pulling up. But other than that, it looks nice.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be nice to fit a few more cars here in the garage.
Yeah, nice.
All right, on to important stuff. So I've got Charlie in here today for a subject that we've kind of been talking about on and off for the last, couple of months.
Yeah.
And we finally got around to filming this. But before we get into that subject, you might notice that there's a white car in the garage, but it's not the White Knight.
Nope.
Charlie picked up a new addition to his... what do we want to call it? Your ongoing collection, or
I guess one at a time. Though.
Well, it's not really a collection.
One at a time collection.
Yeah.
Yeah, which will dive into our topic here. It'll show
exactly.
why we're making this.
Tell us a little bit about the new addition here.
Yeah, so I just had it about a month. It's a 2020 Mustang GT convertible. It is the California Special. A couple things that make it unique. The whole entire car has been wrapped in PPF, so paint protection film. But it is the stealth version, so it kind of has a satin finish. Mm-hmm. I thought that was just really unique, really cool. Plus, it protects the car and less, worry about paint chips and damage and that kind of thing.
Yeah, it is a white car though.
It is white. Yeah. So the actual PPF adds no color change at all. It's clear. It just has the satin sheen to it.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So just like we did on Brian Willis' Bronco.
Right.
And then if you look down wheels, we have the RTR wheels, which I've always really liked. They are wrapped in Nitto tires, which aren't my first choice, but they're a nice tire, nice value. I would love to have the Michelins on there, but they do pretty well. The brakes, the calipers have been upgraded, which I actually didn't know this until last week, but that's not paint. That is a metallic wrap, which I thought was very interesting.
Oh.
Yeah, it is not paint. So when you actually hit that caliper at nighttime, it glows. It's like a metallic glowing caliper.
That's pretty cool.
It's ultra reflective, so pretty cool. And as we would always say, the heart of the build and the main reason I wanted the car, the Roush Phase 2 supercharger.
Yeah.
So 750 horsepower, just like you get from your BFP Dream Builder.
Yeah.
So that, and then the things that I like about the California Special, just a little bit different look. I really like the interior. It's based on a 401A, so it's got the digital dash. It's got leather with a suede interior, heated and cooled seats, upgraded sound system, all nice stuff.
And, of course, it's a convertible. Yeah. So when you're going down the road, your hair's flowing in the wind.
Yeah. Does your hair flow?
Well, it used to.
It used to. No, Katie, my wife, loves the convertible. I actually have gotten to really like it because I remember when I was younger buying cars, my grandpa was like, "Oh, I wouldn't have that if it wasn't a convertible," and I was like, "I don't like convertibles." But as I've maybe gotten older or going out with Katie, my main event in the car is date night, so the convertibles.
Yeah. Well, I've never hated convertibles, but I've never loved them either. Yeah. And you know this story well. My wife, Carol, in 2012, when we built the Topless Lady, she's like, want to buy a convertible. Because I wanted to basically kind of build a Boss 302 type looking car.
I remember.
And, and she's like, I want a convertible. And I'm like, all right, fine. So we order a convertible. And guess what happened?
I know exactly what happened.
Yeah. Every time I'd take it out, hey, we put the top down? No, I'd get my hair messed up.
So you have a convertible driving around with the top up all the time. Well, that is not the case. It is barely over 50 degrees this morning, and I had the top down. So that took a heated seat, heated steering wheel, and the heat on full blast, but
I like it. Fun. So now, as many people that know Charlie well, and I know some of you may not quite know this story, but the question will be, how long will this car stick around?
And that'll dive us into our different types of buyers.
Exactly.
So we'll save the answer to that question till the end.
Okay.
Because I don't know the answer.
So the topic is basically we, over the years, have both obviously been what I would call different car buyers type, how we approach buying, why we buy, than a lot of other people. And we start thinking about the fact that there's a lot of different types of car buyers and why they buy the way they do, or why they don't buy as many as they do, or whatever. So I kind of last night, I just for the heck of it, I started jotting down what I would call some of the types of people that buy cars and why. And the one thing that hit me last night, I thought, well, everybody, right, starts off as a first-time buyer.
Yep.
So, and we're obviously gearing us toward what we call the car enthusiast, and not just Mustang people, but car enthusiasts. But it can also kind of cover just general car buying and truck buying.
Yeah.
But so everybody's a first-time buyer. What was your first vehicle?
So I will say my first purchased vehicle, we'll start with that, because as a teenager, my grandpa bought me a car. But when my first purchase on my own was a 2009 Mustang GT Premium. 45th
premium.
anniversary. So I would have been 19 when I bought that.
19. Yeah. Okay. Well, now I technically cannot say that I bought my first vehicle.
Me neither. I had two cars that my grandpa bought first as a teenager.
Right.
And then when I was 19, I went and bought that one.
Yeah.
So.
But mine was a little different than yours. My first vehicle, of course, I'm a little older than you, but
Just barely.
yeah. So my first vehicle, I had a friend at 16. Things have changed a little bit too over the years. I noticed this. When I was a kid, by the time you're 15 or 16, you're chomping at the bit to get a car and drive. Mm-hmm. Now I'm noticing a lot of younger people, they don't seem that.
It's definitely a downward trend.
Yeah. So basically, I was chomping at the bit to get a vehicle to drive. And a buddy of mine, his dad was a general contractor, and he'd finally decided to buy a new van. Yeah. So he had a 1968 Dodge van with a 318 and a 3 on a tree. Do you know what a 3 on a tree is, Charlie?
I do. I've driven one, and it was a rough go, but I made it. Yeah.
And he was willing to sell it for $100.
Wow.
And my grandmother bought it for me as my 16th birthday present. And it was a beater, but I actually fixed this thing up pretty cool, and awesome. Did a lot to it, and learned to drive a manual in one day.
That's pretty good.
So again, then like you said, the first car that I think I really bought myself was a Toyota Carina, 1972. And you may have never heard of a Toyota Carina.
I never have heard of that.
Because I think they were only imported like 1 year.
Wow.
And I remember I had to get a carburetor for this car, and it had to come from Japan.
Wow.
It cost me like $200 in 1980 something, So anyway, everybody's a first-time car buyer. And then, as you get a little older, you start looking at, again, car enthusiasts. And we'll talk about some different types of buyers. So obviously, everybody always knows you have your car collectors.
Yep.
And those are, generally speaking, not your average people like us. Your Jay Leno's or your Tim Allen's and, different.
Jack Roush, those people.
Right.
Yeah.
They've got, like, literally hundreds of cars. And
Yeah.
they've got big warehouses and garages they store in. So they're a little different. They're not buying like most of us would. But then there are some of us that, and we have plenty of friends that are like this, that not collectors, but they have multiple cars in their collection. Mm-hmm. And maybe different types of cars. And, and they maybe rotate them.
Yeah.
So, and then you've got some people, and we have a couple friends that I like to think of, like our friend Mike Begley, maybe as an example, that kind of, now he does have 2 cars now, but he basically...
The Cobra's here to stay.
Yeah, he's a 93 Cobra that is just almost legendary.
Yeah, it is.
And I don't think Mike will ever have another car. He does have another Fox body that he tinkers with and is working on, but that's like his car.
The car.
Yeah, and he doesn't seem interested in buying any other cars. No. That's his.
That's his.
Yeah, and I'll call them the one car forever people. We have some of those people. Maybe if somebody inherited a car in their family and they're like, that car's never going away. You have one of those.
The 32 Ford.
Yeah,
I wouldn't take $1 million for it.
Exactly.
That's the story.
Yep. And then we have some friends and people that may buy a new car every year or two.
Yeah.
I realized again last night, I thought, man, over the time, I've kind of gone through several of these phases.
Yeah.
We weren't car collectors, but Carol and I at one point, we had multiple cars. We had like 5 Mustangs, and went through a point where I used to buy a new truck every year or two, which he liked.
That was great. I missed that time. That was good. You're slacking.
And now we've gotten rid of all our cars except the White Knight. I mean, we do have daily drivers.
Yeah.
But,
F-150 and
yeah.
Fusion.
So, again, what brings us back to this too is sometimes the approach of buying. So we talked about this and we joked about how long will it be around. So you are the type of buyer.
Yeah, it's tough. I'm weird. So he and I are totally different. He's kind of a hybrid of a couple of these. The GT350R is a 2017, so it's been around for a while. I don't see anything in the near future that I think could replace it for you.
Probably not.
But with me, I find a lot of joy and fun in the actual hunt. I love to find the car.
Yeah.
Now, in the last couple of years, the fun has been a little bit less because they're very, very, very hard to find. I like a challenge, but not an impossible challenge.
Yeah.
So that's been a little tough, but just going online and finding and talking and the rush of getting the car and maybe like we've traveled to go get some of them.
Exactly.
And that process to me is so much fun.
Yeah.
So this white car right here is my 21st Mustang. That I've had, and I've had anything from the early 2000 cars, the New Edge Mustangs.
Yeah.
I've had GT350, the GT500 convertible. I've had the GT500 coupe, the 14 that I always wanted. And so I've played with a lot of different kinds of cars, but some of them I've only owned for 6 or 7 months.
Yeah.
And so to me, the journey of finding the car and getting the car and then making it the way I want it is actually most of the fun.
Well, and I'll say there's a second part of this to you that maybe you won't agree with me, but I think in some ways and I'll say this in a nice way, he's a little stubborn in the sense that he will wait and wait and wait until he finds the right car.
Yeah.
But he's also, I think you enjoy the negotiation process.
Yeah, well, I mean, if I didn't, I'd be bankrupt.
Because
you got to buy, like I do. I try to factor in the financial side to having fun. It's something I got from my grandpa when I was very young. So yeah, like you can have fun with cars, but obviously I'm in the business, so I don't want to approach it just as a customer would. I want to have a little bit more strategy on the financial side to keep myself safe and so I can keep playing. Otherwise, like I said, I'd be probably divorced and bankrupt because 21 cars, you can lose a lot of money. So.
Yeah. Well, now 21 cars sounds like a lot, but we actually have another friend.
Yeah.
You know who I'm going to talk about,
Yep.
and a lot of you out there may know him. And I don't think he minds me naming him.
No.
Mr. Jason Herman is a friend of ours that has, in his lifetime, and I'm not exactly sure how old Jason is. I don't want to, but let's just say he's under 50 and over 30.
He's over Charlie, under Jeff.
Yeah. And I believe the last I heard, I think Jason has now owned close to 300 cars in his lifetime.
Yeah. So we put him, he's not really in a category, he's just the Jason Herman category.
Yeah.
Because I've never actually met another person quite like him.
No.
So.
But he is also a lot like you in the sense that he's very stubborn in the sense that he will wait and find the right car. It has to be almost immaculate for him to buy it. And he has to buy it at a price because he does turn these over a lot. So his idea is he wants to not necessarily make money. I don't think he always thinks about making money.
No, it's just protecting himself, because he and I have actually had the conversation a lot, because my style is a condensed version of what he does, and it is. You have to just be careful. Like I can't, like my dream car was actually not a white car. It would have been race red. It would have been a little bit different,
with chrome wheels.
Yeah, with chrome wheels. Hey, they're coming back. So, but I have to kind of maybe put my dream preferences a couple notches down. Otherwise, I would be in trouble. Just like you, the White Knight is your exact spec. Like that's exactly what you wanted.
Right.
But since you're buying it and holding on to it, you can be picky on that. I have to be a little more flexible.
Which brings us to another thing that's a common subject in this, and you kind of see where we're going with this. We're talking about all different ways people buy it, reasons they buy it, maybe thought process on why they're willing to maybe spend more than what they wanted. And the White Knight was a perfect example of that for me.
Yeah.
Carol and I have traditionally, we would have never ever bought a car over sticker.
Yeah.
But in that particular case, when we made a decision to buy it, we were getting rid of all the other cars, and I actually promised, and I didn't put my hand on the Bible, but I said, this is the last car I'm going to buy. Yeah, well, but my point was I was willing to pay a little over sticker because I did not pay way over sticker like a lot of other people. But I knew that I was going to keep this car forever.
So again, that's almost like another financial category. There are some people that, like with the new Bronco Raptor, for example, or the Lightning that are selling for 20 or 30,000 over MSRP. Some people, when they put their mind to something, they're going to get it no matter what.
Oh yeah.
And I think you're more toward that way than I am, obviously, but you're somewhere in the middle because you were willing to go like, hey, I'll pay over MSRP. I know the market's high. I'm not going to do 20 over, but I'll do some over.
Right.
And so I think there's different motivators in one, your strategy, how long you're going to keep it, what you're willing to be comfortable with financially, and then how picky you're going to be on the actual car.
Yeah. And I think it's worked out well for me with this, with the White Knight. The Shelby GT50Rs, as you and I have talked about before, they're holding pretty good value.
Very well.
So I've not hurt on that
That keeps
car.
the accounting department happy.
Yes, the accounting department, AKA Carol.
Yeah.
So, again, and feel free, please comment down in the comment section. Tell us if you fit into one of these categories or what your thought process is when you start looking for a car. Are you, always set? Do you have an exact budget? And man, if I don't find exactly what I want in that price range, I'm not buying it.
Yep.
Or are you willing to go a little bit more? Just again. Now, brings us to a slightly other thing. So, a lot of people aren't in a position where, some people, their budget is based on, hey, I got this much in the bank account, and that's all I'm spending.
Yeah.
Other people are going to finance something.
Yeah.
So if you're buying a collector type car, are you the type, would you finance a collector type car?
I think it just depends on the first part of the game plan, because you have to put in your mind and say, okay, I'm a guy, this is something I've wanted since I was 12 years old. This is going to be in my garage when I die. My kids are going to get it. A guy like that, I don't see a problem with financing a car. I think there are some situations where if you are in the position, it is nice to pay cash, but it's just going to go down to every situation because there are pros and cons to both. It's nice if you do go and finance the car. If you are investing your money, you can put it other places.
It's true.
I think it's just going to depend on your lifestyle and what you're going to do with it.
Yeah. Well, there are definitely specific companies out there that do financing for collector type cars. So it's definitely a market.
Yeah, because not everyone can just walk in and just give a check for what they want.
Because last year, for example, you and I were at Mecum in Kissimmee, right?
Yeah.
I always pronounce it wrong.
So do I.
Kissimmee. And, I'm sitting there, and I'm more the guest. I'm there, and I'm watching cars go across the block, and I admit, I'm sitting there going, there was a couple of them going across the block, and I'm going, God, I wish I had the money to just say, hey!
Sorry, Carol.
I know, but so it could be dangerous for someone to go to an auction like that, or Bear Jackson, because man, you better have some restraint.
Yeah.
And of course, you better bring your checkbook if you do decide to buy something.
Yeah.
So can you think of any other along this line, something that we didn't cover here?
No, but I think the thing that we would be the most interested in to learn about the people watching would be, obviously there's the financial side, what you're going to do, but what category do you fall in? Are you a multi-car owner, that you're not really a collector, but you'll have 2 or 3 at a time and tinker with them and fix them up and play with them?
Yeah. Are
Are you a guy that says, this is my baby and I'm going to keep it forever? I'm done. I don't even look at other cars. I'm married to this one.
Yeah.
Or are you somebody more like me that likes to play around with different cars and jump to a convertible and then to a coupe and then something supercharged and then maybe a GT350? So which of those categories do you fall in? I'd be interested to see how the mix is.
Yeah, I agree. I think we'll find out that there are a lot of people that, like myself, have maybe fallen into multiple categories over different times.
Yeah.
So again, the whole point of Garage Table Discussions is discussion, right?
Yeah.
So please help us out. Join down in the comments section. Kind of let us know your thoughts on this, and I'll be interested to see if there's any other Charlie Watsons out there.
I have one other thing I'd like to know. Yeah. Look at the sign, Garage Table Discussions. We have a friend that said that the blinking is distracting. Is that distracting to you? Do you think it should just be a solid light, or did you not notice it until just now?
Mike
Schaefer.
I am going to, yeah, Mike Schaefer. I am going to guess that most people will say they've never noticed it until you brought it up.
Because I never did, but Mike noticed, and we take our feedback seriously.
Exactly.
So,
yeah.
Is the sign distracting,
Yeah.
or is it not?
Yeah, and I'm sometimes a little stubborn. You
Yeah.
might know that.
Yep.
And Mike didn't just recently tell me this. He probably told me this a good year or more ago.
Yeah.
And I've just every time I look at it, I go, no, Mike, I like it.
Yeah. I've never noticed it, but we'll see what they say.
All right, yeah, let us know. All right, guys, so hopefully this has kind of been enjoyable to you. It's been enjoyable to us because we don't get to do this as much as we ever used to.
Nope.
You know?
They keep me locked in a cage in the back now.
Yeah, and all of our stuff is unscripted. We just go with the flow, and then after we're done filming, I'll go, why the heck did you say that?
Yep. Or it might be the other way around.
Well, yeah, true.
He's usually the liability.
All right. So, guys, thanks again for watching Garage Table Discussion. Jeff Black, your BFP Dream Builder. As always, feel free to reach out to us if you'd like to do a performance build of some kind at Beachmont Ford. Don't use this channel big time to promote work.
Yeah.
But, you know, that's what I do.
Yeah.
And, you know, and that's what you do.
It is.
So, hey. So, beachmontford.com, visit us there. And I will also remind you that even though, again, I don't really promote this Garage Table Discussion big time on YouTube, it's more for Facebook, but we do have all of the episodes on YouTube, so if you've missed episodes and you want to go back and watch them, there is the Garage Table Discussion YouTube channel.
Yeah.
All right, guys, thanks for joining. Charlie, thanks for coming into the garage again and bringing your new beauty. And you didn't really ever finally say how long you think this was last.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it checks a lot of boxes for me. I don't know. We'll see. I mean, my plan could be 2 years, and I could wake up tomorrow and sell it, just like with the Lightning. So you never know, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah, and as usual, I think there is a waiting list of about 10 people already to say, hey, when you get rid of this one.
That is true. I actually have a couple guys, and I will message you before I get rid of it to at least give it a shot. Yeah.
All right, guys, thanks again, and we'll see you soon. Bye-bye.